Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, Crypto and Thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith's Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twadwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Dal West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. How are you?
Did you enjoy QE's show last night?
Didn't watch it, I'm really sorry. I was tied up doing other things. Sorry.
How's the new mic?
Was it good?
Oh, it was excellent. There was a few more lies told about you. I'm sure you'll be glad to know.
I don't care. These people are sharing their pain. I said this on yesterday's show. I used to get annoyed. I'm going to try more and more to realise the awful truth that they're just recognising how Earth flat is and want to take it out on me by lying about me. What was the lie?
Jonas said that you would turn down an invitation to the final excrement.
Yeah, that's a lie.
So what songs have you been singing?
What songs have I been singing? Well, I've got Beatles, Mike. So I've been singing the Beatles songs. You got a good reason. Yeah? Taking
cool.
the easy
Cool.
way out now. I was singing on the video for the microphone because I'm going to flog it. That's the only reason I bought it, is to flip it. And I took a gamble on it because it was listed as broken. It is not broken. And I've seen them advertised for $1,000. So I'm pretty delighted today. I'm in a very good mood. I won't lie.
Yeah, I go through fits and phases with certain artists. Since the weather turned a couple of weeks ago and it started being nice now, that's when I started listening to the Beatles again recently.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that'll help me auction this microphone off to somebody who wants it as nostalgia. But it's gone from... I literally contacted this guy because I was looking through listings on eBay and I just wanted something pretty, right? So I saw it and I was like, that's a pretty mic. I'll buy that. So I offered him peanuts for it, as I always do. And he got back in touch and he's like, do you know what this mic is? My response, no. Do you want peanuts for it or not? That was my response. He's like, well, this is the Beatles microphone. You know, it's worth hundreds and hundreds of pounds if it's working. I was hoping to sell it to somebody who would know how to fix it and had a bit of mic experience so they could get it working again. Because I've treated it really nicely. I've kept it humidity controlled. You know, it's not been treated badly. It's been treated really well. So my desire was to sell it for a bit more money and even then it's cheap to the right buyer who can fix it. I'm like, I'm not that guy. I've got no nostalgia for this microphone. I just want it because it looks pretty and I want it dirt cheap. So after about 2 days of negotiation with him, he agreed to sell it me exactly that, dirt cheap. Like a broken microphone would be sold, dirt cheap. But it's not broken and it's absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't quite believe my freaking eyes when I took it out of the box. I'm like, oh my God, this looks beautiful. The metal's like it's marble. The grill is gold. Like, it looks amazing. It should be so easy to sell.
Yeah, but you might as well get a good use out of it while you've got it.
I've got no use for it. I really don't. I bought an actual dynamic mic that I do want to use. And being a bit of a nerd, when I buy something, I want it to be technologically advanced in some manner. So in the case of Shure, they've recently developed microphones with an extra capsule to cancel the handling noise when you're holding the mic. And that's brilliant, right? Other than the fact that AKG did it in the 70s. And you can now buy that mic from AKG dirt cheap. But for the fact that the ABBA group used it, it would be dirt cheap. But I found one that was dirt cheap and haggled with that one and offered him peanuts. But that one, I do actually want to keep because, number one, it's a good microphone. At the time it came out, it was competing on sound with an SM58. So you're like, okay, so it's competing with what is considered to be the industry standard for stage mics, dynamic mics. So like, and people preferred it. When you go back and read the reviews, people preferred the sound of it. Now, I've plugged that in and gone, does this work? Check, 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 1, 2, 3. And then immediately put it back down again. Because I'm like, oh my God, Beatles mic. So I've put the ABBA mic on one side and just tested the Beatles mic. Found that it worked, which I couldn't quite believe. I thought I'd plug it in and it would just be broken. Because I've seen other videos where the capsules have been broken and the person's plugged it in and you hear, this is how the mic sounds, and if I shake it around, it's kind of sounding like it's got a broken capsule. That's how I thought it would come, completely broken. Instead of that, I can hear why they liked it. I know what the mic is because I've done a bit of study on it now. It's got a really fine voice coil on it, so it's really good at picking up high levels of detail. And I listened to it back and I'm like, yeah, I understand why they like this microphone. For a 50s or 60s, whatever it is, microphone, it's incredibly detailed. You're like, I was like, it's a little bit sibilant. In other words, it's a bit bright. You're like, that's a shocking thing to say about a 50s microphone. So I totally get, having used it and had hands-on experience with it, why it was used in the first place, why it was desired. You know what I mean? Why it ended up hanging up in Abbey Road. I get it. You know, I understand why it would be desirable. But I don't have a use for it. You know, the only reason I bought a dynamic in the first place was potentially because my youngest daughter's shown a mild aptitude for singing, which might immediately dissolve and turn into something else that she's fascinated with. But should she want to, you know, do some singing, I definitely don't want to sing it into my daily driver because I use that to make money with. This show is, my lifeline to that show is this mic. So I'm not going to have a yelling into that. But having a yelling into some old 70s ABBA mic that's actually quite nice and pretty, definitely for 50 quid or whatever it costs me. I had done it. I'd done it before with my Rode. So when I had a Rode shotgun, the girls wanted to record themselves singing. And so I twisted this mic round, had them singing into it, and you're like, okay, it's not really ideal that you're shouting into a shotgun microphone. And it sounded okay, but it's like, this doesn't really fit that task. Should I ever want to do it again? I definitely don't want them yelling into a £1,500 Neumann microphone. So ideally, I'm not going to do that again. So I've got a mic to cover that task should it ever be needed. But that's kind of surplus, as in it probably won't get used a great deal between now and when Clover, if she wants to use a mic, uses that mic. But the other mics, I've got this Neumann, the Shure that my daughter uses on her little game casts, the gooseneck mic, and the U87 ripoff. They're all useful. I'll use them all regularly. If I can turn this Beatles mic into 500 quid plus, it's paid for everything I've done. If I can flip it for 500 quid. And I suspect, given that I've seen them advertised, admittedly in Japan, for £1,000, I'm pretty sure I can get 500 quid for a working Beatles mic. When I hear the guy at Abbey Road, the original engineer from the Beatles recordings, going, yeah, we had half a dozen or more of these, and they all got broken because they're very, very delicate because of the fine voice coil inside it. So they don't really survive that well. If people drop them, they immediately break. You're like, oh, okay, fine. That's probably why this guy's got his up for sale, because he's dropped it. And then, oh no, now it doesn't work. Well, no. I don't really get why the guy sold it me cheap. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he sell it me cheap telling me it's broken when it isn't? Doesn't make any sense, right?
No, maybe he's got hundreds of microphones and different spares and parts and bits and bobs. So to him, it's one in a million. No, well, one of a million things he's got that you can afford to let go of. You don't know.
I know, I haggled with him for ages. So, he was acutely aware of what he was selling me and what I was buying and what he thought it was worth. And what he was trying to achieve was a couple of $100 for something that was worth more because it was broken. And I've gone, well, because it's broken, it's a gamble. It could be a paperweight when it arrives here. And if I can't get it fixed, my intention being to take it straight down to Craig and say, can you fix this? And him go, no. And me go, okay, well, it's just going to look pretty stacked behind me then in shot because it's now an 80 quid paperweight. But it turned up and it just immediately worked straight out of the box and sounded nice. I mean, it didn't sound nice. It sounds like a 50s microphone. It's nothing. It's not a touch on a modern mic, which I didn't expect it to be. It's an old mic. But you can still see what quality it had. The magic that it had in the 60s, I get. I understand why, given the limitations of other microphones in that time period, why they'd want to use that one. Which was quite exciting. Finding that out was quite, it did feel nostalgic. Because I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's got a certain presence to it. It's got a certain amount of treble to it that you don't typically get out of a dynamic. You can get right up on top of it and sing into it, and it doesn't pop. It's got lots of nice qualities about it. Just not that I would find useful on a daily basis.
Maybe you could live stream some flat Earth music.
I would want it to sound clear and crystal clear. I wouldn't want any background hiss from an old 50s microphone. Don't get me wrong, I can just get a 10 quid plug-in that could get rid of that without any bother. But why? When I can buy a brand new microphone that's got almost no noise floor, or better still, something that's just as cheap. Can't believe I'm saying that about a Beatles microphone, that the ABBA mic was just as cheap. Isn't that nuts? Just doesn't make sense. Sometimes the world doesn't make sense, though, does it? Sometimes things are too cheap. That is to say, if you overshoot the mark with something like that, and you're like, I'll sell it for a couple of £100, when it's worth, let's say, some people are advertising it for £1,000. People are put off by the fact it's too cheap. There's got to be some catch, right? That's what I thought. It's a gamble. So I want it even cheaper than your already very cheap price, because it's a gamble. And I saw it as a big gamble because it's cheap, so there must be something very broken with it. No, not at all. I can't quite believe my luck. Maybe it just didn't sound like he remembered it. Like he remembered it sounding a bit, like it sounded clearer or better or something like that.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who cares? I'm going to stick it on eBay and hopefully turn a profit on it. Yeah, it would be nice to have had all of the other endeavours paid for by that. That would be so awesome. Do you want to see it? I've got it right next to me, but I'm going to show you a video.
You should post it on Reverb. You get a better return on it.
Get a price. I was tempted to put it on Reverb. It just doesn't have the... I look on Reverb and see stuff that's been on there for 6 months. Sometimes longer. Sometimes years, when people have priced stuff badly, but that's not really fair to compare. If you've priced it badly, you've priced it badly. But I see stuff sitting around on Reverb, so I don't really want to put it on Reverb. I'll probably put it on eBay. I've been flogging on eBay for 20 years, so I know exactly how to do it. Not that, you need to know how to flog on eBay, but I just know how to sell effectively. Right, so this is it. This is my Beatles mic. You guys in Discord won't be able to see, but you certainly will be able to hear. A one-way ticket, yeah. It took me so long to find out, but I found out now. This is an AKG D19 Beatles microphone. And to find one that hasn't been dropped, smashed, broken, and in what this is, working order, is a bit of a unicorn. So Holy Grail microphone, maybe not, but definitely rare. So Abbey Road themselves only have a couple of these left out of the 12 or 13 mics that they had back in the 50s and 60s when they were first available and used on the Beatles. So this is essentially a Beatles microphone. It has been converted from DIN to XLR, and this is how it sounds. I'll put some glory shots up so you can see exactly how it looks in the flesh, but it is and I'm not joking, quite beautiful up close and personal. It is badged Telefunken, so it's probably one of the rarest because it's got the nicest logo on it. It's gold, it says Telefunken, it's a D19 AKG Beatles microphone, and as I say, this is how it sounds. I'm going to twist the collar on the microphone. I have no idea what this does, but I'll pause the video, twist the collar, and then you can hear what it sounds like in the second position. One-way ticket, yeah. This is how the mic sounds with the collar turned. Oh, it's a low cut. High pass filter. I had no idea what it did when I played this back on the iPad. It just sounded exactly the same. I'm like, maybe it's broken. Maybe that's why I sold it cheap, because this collar doesn't do what it's supposed to do. No, it's a high pass filter. It does work. So it's a fully functional microphone. Even the high pass filter works. Can you hear how it's thinner? Once I've twisted that collar, it sounds thinner now, like less bass. And I've absolutely no idea what that did, but this is what it sounds like now. The 12 or 13 mics that they had back in the 50s and 60s. Kit, yeah. This is how the mic sounds with the collar turned. I've absolutely no idea what that... Yeah, it's a high-pass filter. Did, but this is what it sounds like now. I've twisted that collar. So this is, once again, the AKG D19 Beatles microphone. There you go. That's my new mic. I assume you could hear that in G+.
We could.
Can't quite freaking believe that it just works straight out of the box. Yeah, I'll put that on eBay this evening on a 10-day auction. What do you think I should start the price at?
How much did you pay for it again?
That doesn't matter. That'd be so rude. How dare you?
Usually you want to start at 0, so you get all the people bidding on it and has more visibility.
Yeah, because hardly anybody knows what it is. So the likelihood of there being a lot of people going, oh, I must have a Beatles mic for £12, I'll put my bid in, just means that there's a chance that there might be two bidders that bid against each other and get it up to 100 quid at the end of it, because it's not very common. So there's currently one bashed up and bruised that hasn't been converted from DIN. So it comes with a DIN cable, and it is one of the cheaper ones. So they made them in all sorts of flavours from different manufacturers. Some really pretty, like mine, Telefunken, and some just badged AKG, which were the most basic cheap ones. But there's one on eBay currently for £389.22 or best offer. Like I say, that looks a little bit bruised.
Well, as you can advertise it as working and fully functioning, maybe start at $750.
Well, this one's working and functional according to the listing. So I'll just read it out. For sale is my AKG D19. This poor little mic is battered and bruised from its life over the years. I've owned it for approximately 10 years and it looked like it when I first got it. Most important thing is the mic still sounds as it should. You're like, okay, so it's working. So the fact that it's a little bit bruised and battered is kind of neither here nor there to somebody who just wants one that's working, right? Whereas mine works and looks like it's made of marble and gold. I'm not even kidding, it looks absolutely amazing. It's one of those where it's so much nicer than I was expecting, I'm almost tempted to keep it. But for the fact that I don't have nostalgia for these things. I do initially, right? This is the initial, oh wow, isn't it cool? Should I keep it? No, I don't have a use for it. These things are tools. If you don't have a hammer, if you don't have a rock to hit with the hammer, then just sell the hammer. There's no point in keeping it. Yeah, I'll just put it on screen.
If you aim to maximise your profit, you'll want to maybe buy a new case for it and photograph it within the light, with the light can hit it so it looks best, where the features stand out that you want to.
I've already done that. So at about 10 o'clock in the morning here, currently, it might get a bit later or earlier depending on what time of year it is, but the light comes directly through my kitchen window onto a countertop, so it's beautifully lit by the sun and it's really bright. The downside to that is it does create very strong shadows that are a little bit crappy in the pictures, but I haven't got a whole lighting rig to cancel those out. But what you do see that's lit by the sun looks fantastic. So I said even his pictures looked good. He had 2 pictures, one from a distance, one close up to the Telefunken badge. And I thought it looked really good, enough to get my attention. Like I say, the problem wasn't that. The problem was his was too cheap. So this one at $389, I've got on screen for the audience, pounds. That's what, $500, maybe a bit less, $480, something like that. That seems like the right price for it. It's a Beatles mic. It's got all the nostalgia. It's a D19 that's a little bit bruised, but working. 400 quid. So I think I should start mine at 500. What do you think?
Go 750 first, and then if you can't sell it, drop down to 500.
So you think I should do a buy it now at 750?
I reckon push it. You never know.
I want to auction it. I just want to auction it off and flip it. So what I would think is hope that I could find somebody who's interested in these things, stick it up for $499 starting auction price. Hope that you get one bid, because then I'd be happy. And then if somebody desires it more than the next man, they might be bidding more and it might go for more. Or should I just start at the same price as this guy's?
No,
It's
your
hard to-
idea sounds logical.
Could you start at the same price as this guy's?
No,
What is
no, the former.
Oh, start it at a more expensive price.
Yeah, you know, you never know. You never try, you never know.
I mean, I could stick it on at 750 quid, because it is, I would suggest, quite desirable for someone who wants that sort of thing. In the condition that it's in, because it's just because it's in such nice condition and it's shiny and gold and badge Telefunken. So if I was looking for that, if I actually wanted it, if I was an engineer and I'm like, no, I really actually do want the Beatles sound on certain records, and the only way to achieve it is with that mic, I want one that's really nice looking for clients. So when they come in and request the Beatles mic, I produce this and they go, wow. It's got a certain wow factor to it rather than some beaten up old AKG. The Telefunken one with a nice gold top on it looks much, much more presentable. So I could only imagine that would translate into people's desire to own that particular version of it rather than a Philips or an AKG, or there's a whole bunch of them. All sorts of different manufacturers all made that mic under different names. Anyway.
Yeah, because of the Beatles brand, it's worth pushing.
I'll stick it up.
What's the topic of today?
What, sorry?
What's the topic of today's show?
I've no idea. I haven't got anything to cover either. Had you got a video that you wanted to cover?
There's a Zach Starr, who's a big YouTuber, who's responding to flat Earth comments. It's okay if there's no conversation.
Yeah, stick us a link. We'll cover that.
Okay.
Let's try that
Good
again.
afternoon.
Oh, we got there.
Come on, Discord.
Yeah, go on, Discord. Play the game. Did you send us that link? Just so I know that once we've rambled our way through housekeeping, we'd actually have a video to cover.
Yes, it's a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Wonderful stuff. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Any evidence of what should we start with? Any evidence of gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Pictures from space.
It's not evidence of a containerless gas pressure system. That's just a claim that you're men on high wire claiming to be in an area violating that natural law I'm asking about. That's not evidence. That's a violation of the second law.
We know the sky is a vacuum because we have the pictures from space.
No, the space that the pictures are coming from is a second law of thermodynamics violation. So we'd need evidence that you can have the gas pressure we're all breathing without the container to make the space they're claiming the pictures come from real, because currently that area of volume called outer space stands in direct violation of the second law of thermodynamics. We need evidence to show that you can have gas pressure without a container. Pointing at the sky is simply a begging the question fallacy. If you say, well, I've got a sky vacuum because I believe the sky is a vacuum. That's just begging the question.
I'll give it a try.
You don't get to beg the question here. Hey, John.
Hello.
Did you see my post about my microphone?
Oh, Lord.
Was that, oh, Lord, as opposed to yes? I've seen your post. I'm very excited for you.
Very excited.
Did you or didn't you see my post?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so about, I don't know, a week ago, I'd been watching a microphone that is the Beatles microphone. The microphone dangling above Ringo that they were singing into when they were doing Day Tripper. It's a microphone that in the 50s and 60s was relatively common at Abbey Road. And when the engineer was asked by one of the engineers I do actually follow on YouTube, he said, well, why did you use the D19 on the Beatles? And the engineer's response was priceless. Because it was plugged in. That was his response. In other words, because it was in and at the end of a wire working. Why else would I use it? So it wasn't because of the beautiful top end that it produced. I love the way the bass is accentuated in a marvellous marshmallow-like quality, or some of the complete crazy nonsense that makes no sense that uses words to describe sound. He just said because it was plugged in. Nevertheless, the mics that were plugged in when the Beatles were being recorded is a very specific mic. It's an AKG D19. Now, don't get me wrong, they've sung into Neumanns as well, but while I'm not a particular Beatles fan, I saw this particular mic on eBay, asked the guy if he'd want to sell it cheap, because it was, as far as he had put in the advert, broken. It got a broken microphone, and that's what I was expecting to receive. So when I got the mic out the package, plugged it in, and it worked. And, as I've just found out, having played it back on the big rig, the high pass filter also works. So it's a fully functional microphone that I've seen advertised for $1,000 that I've bought for peanuts, and is fully functional. Sold on the basis that, you know, I'll take a gamble on this paperweight because it doesn't work. And it's not a paperweight, it absolutely works and is worth a significant amount of money. So that's put me in an extremely good mood. And if you haven't seen it, I might as well just play the video of it because I've actually got it queued up. So why not, as I have got it.
Wix.
Oh, damn it, adverts. Right, we'll just play our way through the adverts and then you'll... Right, there we go, skip. A one-way ticket, yeah. It took me so long to find out, but I found out now. This is an AKG D19 Beatles microphone. And to find one that hasn't been dropped, smashed, broken, and in what this is, working order, is a bit of a unicorn. So, Holy Grail microphone, maybe not, but definitely rare. So Abbey Road themselves only have a couple of these left out of the 12 or 13 mics that they had back in the 50s and 60s when they were first available and used on the Beatles. So this is essentially a Beatles microphone. It has been converted from DIN to XLR, and this is how it sounds. I'll put some glory shots up so you can see exactly how it looks in the flesh, but it is, and I'm not joking, quite beautiful up close and personal. It is badged Telefunken, so it's probably one of the rarest because it's got the nicest logo on it. It's gold, it says Telefunken, it's a D19 AKG Beatles microphone, and as I say, this is how it sounds. I'm going to twist the collar on the microphone. I have no idea what this does, but I'll pause the video, twist the collar, and then you can hear what it sounds like in the second position. One-way ticket, yeah. This is how the mic sounds with the collar turned. I have absolutely no idea what that did, but this is what it sounds like now I've twisted that collar. So this is, once again, the AKG D19 Beatles microphone. There you go. That's what it looks like. That's what it is. And I'm just extremely excited for having received something that's very rare. Oh. What was that? That's very rare, and I assumed I'd be taking a punt on, might be a paperweight, but is now a valuable piece of memorabilia that was used to record the Beatles with. So I'm absolutely made up, John. Might as well show my audience as I've got it literally within arm's reach. why not put it on screen? Let's just turn some more lights on so you can have a look. This is it. So this is the AKG D19 Telefunken badged. So some of them have got crappy head shells on the top that seem very fragile. And it's kind of difficult to describe how it looks because it's almost like it's made of marble. It's not, it's metal. But it feels and looks like it's made of marble. So it's really, really, really pretty. And let's just get the badge the right way around. So let's get that a bit closer to the camera. Focus, you. Let's just get my hand up, see if I can get it to focus. Oh, it's not going to do it, is it? Come on, focus! Oh, we're not going to get it. We're not going to get it. I'll give up in 3, 2, 1. No, it's not going to focus on it. But you can take my word for it. It's badged Telefunken. It looks really pretty. Let's put it against the white t-shirts. You can see what it looks like. It's had an XLR conversion already. Maybe the guy who plugged it in thought it was broken because he hadn't plugged it in correctly. Maybe given it phantom power. I have no idea why he thought it was broken, but it definitely isn't. It works perfectly, as you just heard. So I'm going to stick it straight on eBay if I don't keep it. So I'm kind of in two minds now that it's cool and working and nostalgic. But it's got a very, very fine voice coil in it, which is why if you drop them, they break. And that's why out of the 12 maybe that they had at Abbey Road, they don't have any anymore, because they've all been dropped by people being careless and they immediately break the fine voice coil in them. So they're kind of either working or they're not. This one is. Hooray! That's it. I'll stop talking about the Beatles.
You were so excited by what you had to say that he had to leave.
Who did? John?
Yeah.
I think he's having internet issues. I got my wife making coffee in the background. I'm just excited to get to whatever, maybe 6 p.m. this evening and set it on a 10-day auction. I just don't know what price to start it at. I can link my video that I've made about it. I can go into detail about how it's been used in the details. Anybody who's looking at the listing will know that anyway. I can put a load of pictures like I had in that video up in the listing. What else is there to do other than set a price, which I don't know. And again, I said this yesterday, I need to make ends meet. YouTube is a bit crap at the moment. This is fairly typical for this particular time of year, far enough away from Christmas, as in the last one. Into the new year, spring, people start spending money on themselves. Totally understandable. It just means that you end up with a little bit less revenue in YouTube. So having done this for 10 years, I know what the cycles are like. So know that I'll either have to make ends meet, which is what I'm doing with things like microphones, and flipping them is a quick way to do that when I wanted to upgrade microphones. So I can learn about them to sell them and to get a better one, which is what I've ended up with. I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself from yesterday. I did go over this yesterday, so we were in the middle of the housekeeping questions, weren't we? Hey, John.
Neil can't find the link to the show. Can
Neil,
you repost it?
I posted it in Master B. You want me to repost it in Master B?
If you would. He can't find it.
Okay, I'll just put it up again. Hopefully I'll be able to find his way to the show. Same applies to all of you watching. There's 50 people. I know we've only just started and all I've done is talk about microphones thus far. I've got another microphone as well, because I know you're all very excited to hear this Flat Earth debate / microphone show that it's turned into. But I also, and it arrived today as well, exactly the same time, got the ABBA mic. I don't know if anybody remembers me talking about this, but I also ordered an ABBA mic. And I got that, got it out of the box, went test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this works. Put it down and immediately went to the Beatles mic. We're like, yeah, that can wait. That's far less interesting than this Beatles mic. Anyway. Hopefully you got the link, Neil. I've stuck it in Master B. If you've gone to Teams, maybe that's your problem. Stick with Skype. It'll be around forever. Skype's awesome. Everyone loves Skype, don't they?
Yeah, I think they just bought it so they wouldn't have to compete with it.
Yeah, you want to make it redundant if you've got something that you can supersede it with, like Teams. It keeps hustling me to get Teams. I'm like, I'm all right for now. I'll wait till you do absolutely everything without me having to press more than 2 clicks. Then I'll change. Once you've done it all for me. Anyway. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline, as it's on screen?
No one ever does that. It wouldn't be an angle.
No, not even the Globers do that, do they? They also acquire elevation angles from flat planes. Equatorial planes are just the same flat plane as we're actually using. It's just they think that the surface we're measuring is in hell, in a ball on a flat plane also, because that's the only way you can get an angle to be functional in a globe paradigm. You have to set it in the middle of the globe in hell.
So the base of the protractor now becomes the arc of the protractor.
Yeah, basically the globe becomes a protractor, so it's wrapping around your position. They become the angles. So if you were to suggest that you were doing that from Polaris position, so if you're standing in the middle of the globe in hell, Polaris being at your zenith, then yeah, you've got essentially the Polaris-based latitude system wrapped around you as a globe. Glorified protractor. Hey, One Deck.
Hi, Nathan. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Did you see my Beatles microphone update?
I did see something on that, Nathan, yeah? Was you looking at a mic on eBay or something like that?
Yeah, it works. Not just any mic, the mic that recorded the Beatles. Sold as broken and turned up working.
Nice one. Bloody hell, that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't quite believe it. It said on the guy selling it put on the title broken, literally in the title. So because of that, he'd sold it cheap. Well, when anything's cheap on eBay, I want it even cheaper. And standard fare for me is to offer 1/3 of whatever you're asking, which is precisely what I did offer him. Peanuts.
Bloody hell! So you've got and it's definitely like a Beatles mic, and it's bloody hell. What are you going to do? You get a few quid for that, mate.
I would think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be more expensive microphones out there, Neumann's for a start. But as far as nostalgic, vintage mics that are old and dusty and normally undesirable, there's obviously certain mics that are out there that recorded the Beatles, and therefore people would want them just for that reason. And obviously, it's a bonus if they're working, because many of them are bust now.
There's Neil. He might buy it.
I don't think so. I don't think he'd have a use for it. I can't think of anybody who'd have a use for it. I mean, maybe if you're in a recording studio and you've got to have a list of mics and clients are asking you for the Beatles mic, then you'd want it in your locker and you'd want a nice one. That's what I'm going to tell the next man that's buying it.
No, there'd be a Beatles fan out there somewhere who want that mic, I'm telling you. It's just a matter of finding them.
Tribute bands.
Yeah, if it's something associated with something people love, the idea of it it'll sell big.
Well, Craig has just joined because I've been keeping him in the loop, right? Hey, Craig, because I was under the misapprehension that I'd be asking him to repair this heap of crap from 50 years ago.
Hello.
Hello, that mic works.
Oh, wow. Bonus.
Yeah, so there was me like queuing you up to work on it. I thought I'd get it in the post, plug it in and go, yeah, doesn't work. And come down to you and go, can you see if you can turn this from a crappy paperweight into something quite valuable? And then pray that you could get it working. No need. I plugged it in and sung Day Tripper into it. I'm not even joking.
Oh, you could have chose a better song, though.
Well, I think they actually recorded Day Tripper with it. That's why I picked it. So when I was doing the research on it before it came, it was one of the songs that actually got recorded with it. So the photo that I've got of Paul sat actually singing into this particular mic, a D19, that could be when they were tracking Day Tripper. So you're like, nah, well, seems like an appropriate song to sing.
So could you claim that it was the actual one or just a similar one?
Well, no, because they were made by all sorts of different manufacturers, so it definitely isn't the exact one, because the exact one is a, believe it or not, crappier version, so a cheaper, nastier version by AKG themselves. So it's an AKG mic, but there was lots of, like now, there's plenty of people that will sell mics that aren't theirs under their own name. Well, it was like that then. So you could buy it under all sorts of different names. You could buy it under a Philips name. You could buy it under an AKG name. You could buy it under Telefunken. There were several others as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there were several other manufacturers that all made this exact same mic, a D19, but just under their own name. Now, of them, the most desirable badge is easily Telefunken. the one I've got, because it just looks gorgeous. The mic itself looks like it's made out of freaking marble, and it's gold, and it says Telefunken on it. It's just so cool. I mean, that was the only reason I wanted it was because it looked so cool. And I'm like, well, if it's a paperweight, then what of it? And the guy's like, do you know what this is? I'm like, no, and I don't care. Sell it me cheap.
What you need to do then is get yourself a new profile picture, singing into it.
I just want to sell it. I mean, really, that's all I want. I'm excited that it might turn into money so that I can have what I actually wanted, which is this Neumann shotgun, which I got to a lot quicker than I was expecting. But if I can wipe out all the money I've spent along the way, buying and selling microphones and acquiring new ones for me actually to use, if I can cover all of those costs, I'd be elated. So that's my only desire, to flip it, basically, to sell it, which is precisely what I'm going to do this evening. I'll stick it straight back on eBay.
Woohoo. Job done.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. Happy days. I'm delighted. But the fact that you were kind enough to suggest that you would, right, is the only reason I took a punt on it. So I still should thank you. But because I've got a Craig, I could say I'll take a punt on this. I might be getting it fixed, and Craig might be casting
Poor guy
his eye
don't
over
have a
it.
chance.
Say again?
He knows you're going to come to him. Jeez, poor guy don't got a chance.
Who doesn't have a chance? What?
I mean, Craig, he's probably hearing this and saying, oh, God, he's going to get something else for me to do. Jeez.
That's Craig's, I don't know how many years ago, 5 years ago, when Craig figured out that I did this show and that I'm piss poor. It was like, if I can help with things that I can do, so long as they don't cost me money and materials, if it's me physically hands-on doing stuff, I'll do it for you and I won't charge you. Now, that was incredibly generous back then and still is now. Now, to be perfectly honest, the fact that I can take advantage of that and Craig doesn't give me grief for it still to this day is the reason I've gambled on this mic. That was my point, because I've got a guy that will say, yeah, I'll help you out. And if it costs money and materials, in saying that, he just modded my mic and didn't charge me for the materials he bought. So yeah, that's, people support you when they like what you do in many different ways. And that's the way that Craig supports this channel, with his time and his efforts and his expertise. Yeah, other people give me cash. You know what I mean? There's not just one way to support you. Adam's giving me his time also. He's helping me edit the book currently. So, you know, I had to explain that to my daughter, because she was like, why have you bought... Because I was buying something from a cash generator, a pawnbroker here in the UK. And she's asking me why I've bought another version of what I've already got, this desk. I'm like, Adam spent hours and hours and hours and hours doing the stenography on this book, doing the editing on this book, coming up with new stuff that's, you know, his, to put into the book for me. You know, like, so when man says, how do I make this mic you've bought me work? You buy man a interface there and then. So I was explaining this to my daughter. In other words, you look after the people who look after you, right? And I get that in kind from the people who I broadcast to. I know today's show's kind of turned into the mic show, but it's all linked together. You know, I want to do a better job of producing the show, therefore I want a mic. Therefore, temporarily, I've learned how mics are functioning and what makes them desirable and saleable. Bought them cheap, sold them expensive, got myself a better mic. Now I'm just in the process of hopefully recouping some of the money that I did spend along the way. And I can talk about things like the Beatles as I do so. But moreover, the end game isn't to talk about Beatles, isn't to talk about microphones, heaven forbid. It's to talk about a flat earth. So therefore, when people do just straight up give me cash, which they do, to support me so I can pay the bleeding mortgage and the bills, they give it me because they are also supporting me for what they get back from me when I give flat earth information out to the general public. They see value in that. My expertise and, to the most part, your expertise, the rest of the people who support me on the panel. Same goes for you. The people who turn up day in, day out. There's no obligation. There's certainly no paycheck. But the guys like you, Neil, as you're the one currently talking to me, who turn up day in, day out, that's your support of me. So when you were in need and I immediately was like, oh my God, I must reach out to my community to help Neil, and you were so touched by it, it's like, well, lest you forget that you've put in so much of your time to support me, to help build this show. So you've dedicated time. Time's just as valuable as some people's money or some people's expertise. It's all different in terms of support. When you say support, there's a an idea that instantly means money, and it doesn't. You know, and when I talk about the joy of the support I get on this channel, the same applies. It's not just because people give me cash that I can. Sometimes it is. You know, I had a few £100 float that people have given me when I hinted at the idea that I might e-beg to upgrade my mic, which is kind of a bit disgusting when you think about it. You've got something functioning, you want to upgrade it, and you're e-begging? That would be a bit, you know, might leave a bitter taste in people's mouths. But I mentioned it, and people gave me a couple of £100, enough to start doing this. So there was, to a degree, I'm just disclaiming it, there was a certain amount where, no, I did actually need money to do it. But it doesn't change the fact that people like Craig, get back to the actual point, being there for me, just there for me. He hasn't had to do anything in this instance. Still requires thanks. Thank you so much for being just there for me to say, yeah, I'll risk a few quid, which might not be much. I'm not going to mention the amount now. I'm going to sell it. But, you know, that risk was quite significant to me, even though probably to most people it isn't. You know, I'm on a tight budget. I'm on a very fine tightrope in terms of finances. I have to be very careful. So, you know, knowing that I've got a guy that might turn a paperweight into a profit and then it turning up working, you're like, bloody hell, I'm glad I've got the support around me to make that gamble work far better and far quicker than I first thought it would. So this is turning into a praise for everyone around me show. It starts off with a microphone, but it represents more than that. You know, this Beatles mic. It's cool because it's nostalgic. The Beatles have made their way into history. You could postulate that we'll be remembered in a long time to come. And I'm buying and selling a Beatles mic so I can, you know, keep the lights on while I'm writing a book. Because I haven't got time to do OMI videos and make the channel pick its bootstraps up where I'd normally address the slight lull in numbers. I'd be normally churning out more things like OMI videos like in the past. We're writing a book. Got other stuff to do. It's just not immediate. It's not going to turn into immediate cash for that time. But the long-term benefits of having a book with my name on the bottom of it, going out day in, day out, it could be like Bleeding Rowbottom's book. It could be selling in 100 years. And you might go, oh, you're kidding. No, I'm not. It's turned into a reference book. It's not just all roads lead to a flat earth anymore. Is it, Neil?
No, it will be selling. Not could be. It will be.
Yeah, I agree. I was telling this to my wife. And now, when I was suggesting to Adam, like, I want to get this done because we've got a crap bathroom that we've got this we had. I don't know, we've still got that squishy bottle of soap, hun, that fell into the sink. We've got a bottle that's glass and it fell onto this porcelain sink and smashed it. So now we're washing in a smashed sink, along with horrible tiles that are all falling off the bathroom. It's very old. I fitted it when I first moved into this place more than 20 years ago. So it's crap. It's all falling to bits. Well, that's my wife's priority. Obviously, she wants a new bathroom. And I see the book as something that potentially might fund that. So when I said that to Adam, he's like, no, you need to be negotiating with your publisher and getting better deals. And you need to... It's turned into a much more... big deal in terms of what it could do for your family in the long run. In other words, the amount of time and effort that's gone into it has generated interest from the people who are also helping me bring it to fruition in terms of how it will benefit me and my family moving forward. So in the short term, yeah, I've got to flip a few microphones and learn about Beatles and stuff. But in the long term, I would hope that book sales will actually keep generating an extra revenue for me to keep a roof over my kids' head, keep them educated and keep food on the table. So it's a serious business that I've got a lump in my throat talking about because I've only achieved for all the people around me. You could say you get by with a little bit of help from your friends.
Oh,
Yay.
Nathan is his community.
Oh, that's a nice one. Hold on, John. That Beatles reference is amazing. And number one, I'm just going to give you a little advice. Moving forward, you got to drop the mother effers. If you don't know what this book is going to be, people are going to come and look at your channel and they're going to hear these mother effers and it's going to turn them off. Just my opinion.
Okay, I know what Neil's saying, but I'm going to translate for the audience. Neil's not saying you've got to drop these mofos who you talk with. Neil's saying stop calling them mofos. The language will put people off. Because in yesterday's after show, so I've been reasonably conciliatory, in fact complimentary to Omnivore, who's participated because I was late starting. So I've been on mute in the Discord server while I'm faffing around pressing buttons so no one can hear me. So it still sounds professional and everything's going well and no one would know any different if I hadn't said anything. But I am late and flustered, even though I'd, strictly speaking, started, as far as the audience was concerned, maybe 1 minute late. No, not really. Anyway, Omni's got the mic. He's holding court on my live show until he isn't, right? And then he's thanked for his lack of self-appreciation or self-introspection, whatever you want to call it. Then we move into the after show, and he, like, for whatever reason, decides that he wants to dance the dance with me. Okay, I'll pretend I want to two-step around with you dancing about the Black Swan in this instance, right? As he's asking questions about distances to horizons we're not claiming that he needs. Yeah? So we enter into the dance, I start detailing Black Swan, he starts rumpusing me. I instantly lose my temper with him and start mofoing him down, swearing at him basically. Because I'm telling him what I'm telling you, the audience. I'm pretending to enjoy dancing with you. No, I'm not enjoying dancing with you. I've gone through the Black Swan. I said thousands of times, tens of thousands of times I said to him, no. But let's pretend it's realistically 20, 30, 40 times with fundamentalist religious globe-believing zealots. The dance has been danced. It's not a new dance. So, you know, it's what I called or suggested to him was going through the motions. Now, if you as my opponent don't want to go through those motions and feel that it's like back in 2020, where if you could only rumpus me saying it, nobody would hear it. If you think that's what's going to fly in 2025, you're just going to get absolutely chastised. And that may include some swearing. Now, Neil's saying, nah, don't. You're like, okay, I'll take that on board. It's always the Christians that do this. Previously, it's been Bible U has brought me into line. She's probably got so sick of trying that she's no longer doing it, but she's done it enough times for it to make a mark and make me now reiterate her point when she's taken me to one side. And other groups of Christians have done similar things with me, where they've taken me to one side and said, in time, people will be put off by your use of this language. Now, I can't help it when I'm furious with somebody who's just asked me to dance with them and then starts spitting in my face while they're two-stepping around on the dance floor. You know? What? Okay, you want to spit in my face because there's a whole people around me. I'll cause a scene then in the middle of this dance floor and you will have me tearing your strip off while everybody watches. Yeah, the music's going to stop, the needle's going to scratch on the record, everyone's going to stare at you while I swear at you. Yeah? Don't spit in my face if you ask me to dance.
Well, there was something that happened, though, when he went silent. Do you remember what question you asked him?
Why doesn't the plane nose down?
No. I can't remember the exact question.
There was a few times he went silent, though, John. That's his game, too.
Nathan, you pointed out the horizontal plane of reference within Andrew Thomas Young's citation.
Yeah. John gets it, right? I'm not trying to dismiss you and Neil, but John gets it. There's is it an alarm bell you'd call it, John? There's something that certain that's the word, trigger words that they'll say. And as soon as they say them, you go, bang, you're using the horizontal plane of reference in your Earth curve mathematics. It doesn't matter where it comes from, Thomas Young or otherwise. They're using a surface level in those mathematics. So when he goes silent is when it's almost slightly telling, because it's like he does know where there is nothing but silence that could benefit him. Anything he says after that fact is bad for him. So the only move on that chessboard is silence for him. But the fact that he knows that makes me a bit more suspicious of who Omnivore may be. Given the current shillery that's going on in Flat Earth, everybody's acutely aware of this sort of stuff. I'm just saying, you look at them and go, how is it that you are aware of just how devastating this is to the point where you're also aware in that moment that it's best to keep your mouth shut? Okay. We won't dwell on it too long.
Danny Faulkner also uses that.
Same with Danny Faulkner. Yeah, good point. Well dropped in. He did the same. But he did that because he just is that little bit more intelligent than your average baller, I would suggest, without being too complimentary to Danny Faulkner.
Nothing. You're talking about someone trying to understand something beyond what they accept as true, and he's on that line of understanding at that moment.
No, he's not.
He can't say anything. But what can you say? Like, there's nothing to say. It's probably the scaredest he's ever been in his life.
Yeah, I attribute to that too. I'm still in the...
No way. No way. I'm sorry. Did you hear him the whole show before trying to school everybody like he's the teacher? Bullshit, man.
Well, they all do that. If I can seem like the teacher teaching you, the dumb flat earther, about how you don't understand, then it's not me internalising or contemplating the facts of the flat earth that is required at some stage, like in Andrew Thomas Young's reference to surface level and parallel eye level for the mathematics to function at all. Now, we know that, so we can immediately get triggered to take the globe believer to their flat plane they require in any instance. And silence is what you get. Asking him for contemplation over the plane that not nosing down because he's asking us to justify it. No, share your pain. But when we get to the flat earth you'll use, because his words that triggered me in this instance were, the globe model will work. Now, I go, yeah, he's right. There is a bit in the globe model that does function in physical reality. It's the flat bit. It's the surface level bit. It's the measurement for the eye level. The height of eye is measured off a flat earth. Now I know all these things. There's no escaping. The tables, as far as I'm concerned, are turning for me, the individual, in terms of my comprehension, which is now brought back in line with people like, I'm not just saying it because he's right, but Brian and refracted curvature. Sorry, everyone else around you, if you feel like I'm just giving unjustified props where you should get it. Tough luck. Brian and refracted in this instance have understood this for a very long time, longer than myself, and have therefore had this kind of calm confidence, and less so with Brian. He gets easily irritated with the twats we deal with. But nevertheless, there's a quiet confidence when you know Earth's flat. And when I've been pointing out certain aspects of what I'm now calling triggers, the bit that they will require that has a flat Earth within it, Brian and refracted John were already pointing this out to me without me fully comprehending the whys and wherefores of why that would be the case. So that it just becomes a trigger word when they say it, so I can take them straight to the flat plane they need. Now, for me, like I say, and also refracted and Brian, I don't know about the rest of you, maybe you'll demonstrate this to the audience at some stage, but certainly for me, and I'm sure people see it in me when I'm talking to the fundies, they're going to be taken straight to the flat plane of reference that they require to be measured. That's Earth, if you're dealing with reality. They're going to be getting there pretty damn quickly. Brian could already get them there. Brian was playing with his food. He'd long progressed past that. He's like toying with them and wants to take them into their paradigm where he will beg the question on their behalf to show it doesn't work after the fact. But that's an exemplary understanding that I didn't have till recently. Now that I do, I only ever want to take them to the flat plane of reference they'll need in the first instance, which becomes boring for someone like Brian. Now for someone like John, he's keen to get to that place, which is a bit of a contrast to Brian, so sometimes they're at loggerheads, because I align more with John than Brian. I don't want to necessarily play with my food. I just want to take them straight to the flat plane that Earth's being measured as in every instance, as much as there's a more, not convoluted, that's rude, a more exemplary, expounded upon explanation about the begging the question they must go through in their cognition to use the flat plane that is ignored after the fact. But Brian has recognised it, so he'll play with his food. That was a bit of a mouthful.
Shout out to Sleeping Warrior.
Oh, also, hello.
Sorry. What a load of rubbish. That was the biggest cold sandwich ever for Brian. Brian are really great. John's a bit more greater than Brian. Brian does this, that. No, he doesn't. Brian doesn't do those things. You don't know what Brian does because you don't give Brian the chance to talk at the time. So when you're going off into globe mathematics, I'm trying to find out what exactly is it that this guy is claiming the horizon is. You're the beggar to go off the question, not me.
Yeah, I can only realise these things after the fact and apologise because I'm not as quick on the uptake. So yeah, what Brian's just pointed out is that when it was Omni yesterday, is suggesting there's a horizon. All Brian wants to get to is the point where, are you suggesting it's a real horizon? Because I listened back actually, I heard where your trigger word was where he said, what was it? He said something like actual horizon. You immediately pipe up and there's only one. What are you babbling about? So you wanted to distinguish that, and I hadn't cottoned on. In the replay, I hear it straight away, of course, where you stepped in and why you'd step in, like you just said. Nah, there's only one horizon, and he's going to be refracting his. You know it before he's even opened his mouth the moment he said, what was the word he used that triggered you, Brian? I can't remember what he called the horizon, but something like that.
I'm not sure. Could it be the actual horizon?
I think it was actual.
Visible horizon.
Visible! That was it. He said the visible horizon, and suddenly you step up to the mic.
Yeah, but all I wanted to know was what he was claiming the horizon to be. Adam asked the exact same. See, me and Adam are much more like than you. Or you and John are like, but me and Adam are like. We just want to know what it is he's claiming the horizon to be. Because you can't claim it's geometric. That's the end of that. Do you know what I mean? So that we claimed after that means nothing. But then you want to go into the mathematics and his globe and all the rest of it. So I have no choice then. I go, well, that's where we're going. Nathan's gone there. But then the next day, Nathan blames me. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works either. It's normally my ignorance that means that I don't want to be begging the question when it's supposed to be, or saying we shouldn't be begging the question when you need to be. I typically get it wrong, and obviously this displeases you. I will only fall on my own sword and say it's my own ignorance that leads me to those positions. Occasionally I'll catch up, and hopefully you'll be patting me on the back. It very rarely happens. I very rarely get any support from Brian in that regard. In fact, he would rather I was out on the road flogging microphones all day, every day.
All I was going to do yesterday is, because you had already gone into the maths and into his paradigm and into his citation, whatever else, right? I'm not saying it was just a wiki reference. I can't remember, but it was Andrew Thomas Young. Well, all I wanted to do was lay out for the audience the step-by-step nonsense that brings them to that point. Because it doesn't start with a measurement. I mean, I added in the measurement, but it actually doesn't start with that. It starts with a pre-assumption. They don't need to measure anything, right? They just pre-assume, right? And I wanted him to bring him to his own maths. Because if you're going to be talking to him, because he had said to you, you don't understand the maths. And I wanted to show how he didn't understand the maths, but he never got around to it. Doesn't matter anyway. The point is that you wanted to go into all that nonsense, not me. And yet you're trying to lay that at my door today.
When you say I wanted to go into it,
John
you mean...
and Brian are really great. John's a big creator.
I didn't want to go into it. What you mean is...
I'm not saying John is not really great. I'm just saying...
What you mean is I allowed it to continue, right? While Omni was discussing it, I would allow that. It's not like I was egging him on. In fact, I was on server mute. I put myself on server mute in the Discord server so we could discuss it in the background while I was messing around with other things. But I wasn't encouraging it. It wasn't like I wanted it to go there. It was going there because of the baller taking it there. And I grant you, I was allowing it. But that's very different to how you just phrased it. I realised you'd phrased it prior to me saying that John's my favourite or some crap like that afterwards, shit sandwich styly.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you that, Brian. We were on mute to them, like joking about it and seeing where they were going with it.
Yeah, I started late. My eldest daughter put her foot through a bluey vegetable stand toy. So I was gluing it together right up until the very start, and then I had like 2 minutes to get all the stuff in order, and I hadn't. So I started the show, went live, and then I was like, right, I'll just sort this out now. I'm live. It's a bit like some pilots. There's a mentality where you just want to get in the air. Everything's fine once I'm in the air. Let's just get the craft off the ground. Come on, let's just get along. Once we're in the air, we can sort everything else out. They've got that kind of get the flight on the way mentality, and that can sometimes lead to errors and problems, and you not being ready to do or deal with whatever comes along. That was kind of how I was yesterday.
I thought that was. Sorry, I thought that was pretty good because it allows us to just sit back and listen to how it's being dealt with by people other than us.
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
only occurred
yeah,
because I
which
wasn't
I-
there. I wasn't there at the pre-show. Then the live time comes, 1 minute to live time. I joined that, if you will, Discord server, and Omni's already in the thick of it. He's in the swing of it. So I do the intro. I'm on mute for them, and then I think I opened the line. No, that's right. I went into politics initially, as soon as the live show started, because I was like, I need people to be immediately talking to me. I'm not fully ready. And I went into politics and there was no one talking. Well, oh, crap, I'll go into our own. By then it's like 2 minutes after the hour, 3 minutes after the hour. And I would assume Omni's in there going, they're not going to be having a live show today, then I'll chat crap at this flatty. That's when I joined and I'm like, well, they're already in the middle of the conversation. I'll stay on server mute and we'll just see where it goes, because that's all I needed was someone to be talking.
Yeah, and George was
It's interesting.
talking to Omni when you got there, and he was ready and waiting to point out the horizontal plane of reference that he'd need for the pitch of the plane.
It's
that Omni
interesting.
was claiming.
He was talking about the projection.
Who?
I'm sorry, I was talking when that other gentleman was.
Who was talking about the
I'll finish,
projection?
mate,
The
go ahead.
omnivore guy? This is like pulling teeth.
I'll go ahead and go. The omnivore guy was talking about how all these maps are wrong because they're projections and distorted because of that, and they're all globe projections. But that isn't true. They're celestial sphere projections, and that's a projection from a flat plane that's measured.
Yeah, it's on screen now.
Yeah, we were trying to see if they would say, well, where'd you get the measurements for that anyway for your globe? But I see what you're talking about, John. Yeah, we didn't pick that up, Nathan.
Yeah, he's right. We didn't. So, again, I'll reiterate for the audience's benefit. The assertion is that because we've got a globe that we're projecting these flat maps from, our opponent, Omnivores, in yesterday's show saying that's why the flat maps are distorted, because we're not using globe-shaped ones where they've come from. Wrong. They've come from a celestial sphere. And that is what is projected in the case of the, I don't know, which one's the most common one? Mercator?
No, no, this is all wrong. The map, there is no correct world map, because every world map is a projection of some kind, right, from a globe. That's why they're all incorrect, because the Earth is not a globe. That's why they're incorrect.
They're not projected from a globe. They're projected from the celestial sphere.
But they are. The celestial sphere is not a map, like a terrestrial map. They're all. Every one of them starts off as a globe Earth, and they project them in whatever way, whether it be a cylinder, whether it be from the north center or their south center, down flat, or it's broken up into 3 or 4 pieces, like the Pierce Quinn Connell map, I think it's called. They're all a projection from a globe Earth. That globe you see in the classroom, they're all a projection from that. And that's why with things like the AE map, you have a big stretched out Australia with incorrect longitude lines, all these kind of things. The reason they're all wrong is because we're not living on a globe. That's the only reason. Anything else? Because what's the celestial sphere? There isn't one. It doesn't exist. There's just lights in the sky above a flat plane.
Well, the celestial sphere is when you take all those measurements and you create a diagram of how those angles relate to each other. And you get that 360 degrees of angle.
Yeah, but the celestial sphere is
but then you take
only... Sorry, I thought you were finished.
Oh, no. All you do to make the globe is take each GP point of those stars and put land corresponding there to it. And that's how you form a globe. But that's not what you use to project them.
They didn't need any of that. It's just one celestial body, Polaris. That's it. After that, they made their globe from that. That was it. I can show the mathematics where they got their radius from. Everything. That's where it's that simple. Couldn't be more simple. That's exact in their paradigm, right? Polaris only appears to go down because you are going over the curve of the globe Earth. It's not actually appearing to go down due to any kind of perspective or any other effect that may be inherent with the celestial bodies. It's purely down to it's staying exactly as it is, but the curve is increasing in front of you, blocking out Polaris eventually. That's their claim.
But that's just conceptually impossible because the angle that between the surface is decreasing because you're going over a curve. It doesn't make sense.
I know, and none of it makes sense, but that's what they're trying to claim reality is for us. And that's why every map is wrong, because they're basing it off of non-reality. And then they're trying to take that non-reality and somehow project it back into something that we can use in reality. We can't. You can't just.
Well, you can use a celestial sphere, like you can use it.
But the GP points would have longitude positions that don't match in places like Australia. You can't use it then. It's no good to you because it's giving you a false reality.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get someone to understand the concept of valency by showing them the orbital model of a atom, but that doesn't mean that the atom's an orbital model. That doesn't mean that's what the atom is. It's just you're trying to convey an idea.
I understand.
We'll have to talk about this more. Yeah, we'll talk about this more.
I understand that. But we don't live on an idea. That's the difference. They have us living on a concept. If you understand what I mean. Like their paradigm is a concept that they hold as a belief, a religious belief. And that's the position they have us in. That's why all the war maps are wrong. Sorry.
That's a good quote. We don't live on an idea. I like that.
Liam,
we live on a prayer.
How long's this?
Hello, yeah, I'm here.
How long's this video? Is it worthy of covering in the last 10 minutes of the live show, or should we cover it tomorrow?
It's quite long.
That's what I thought.
And the conversation's good.
I was going to say, we'll leave it till tomorrow.
Before you round out, Nathan, I put a comment. This is one of my latest comments on my latest video. If you wouldn't mind reading it. It's a bit lengthy. Put it into Master B. I posted it to you and I put it in Ballbusters last night. Listen to this utter nonsense. This is what they got.
Yeah, I'd love to read it. It's just a little bit small. You'll have to read it out yourself because I can't read it. Can somebody else figure a way of reading Brian's comment because it's just too tiny for me to read? Anybody?
Can you not read it, Brian?
I'm on the phone, but I'll try.
Can you see how tiny it is?
Where is it?
Well, he sent it to me personally, so I don't know where it would be for you. I think it's in Master B somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's pretty small. I'm just on the phone too.
It's funny though what Brian and John are talking about and the celestial sphere and that conversation. But just going back to omnivore and going to Ireland, I did bring him to the celestial sphere a couple of days ago when we were talking about celestial navigation, and he was talking about distorted maps. And I just took him straight to the celestial sphere, and the equatorial plane is where he'll be using the horizontal plane. And what did he do? He went quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
At the limit,
please, for anyone, I have it if you want me to read it.
Yes, please, Neil.
Please, for anyone that's thinking that Brian is some more representative of Irish people and their culture, please don't do that. Actually, Ireland has been a contributor and of much help for human progress. This is very small, especially since the year 1600 until 1900 in regard to scientific evolution. Boyle, Buford, Walton, just to name a few. Let alone the huge and unforgettable number of philosophers, novelists, writers, whose work is still inspiring millions of people that intellectually branded as Brian. See, I'm not even Irish, not even North European. Actually, I'm part of the most Southern Europe you could ever imagine. But even though I'm a descendant of the very ancient Greeks and the son of the Roman culture that followed them, I gotta go all the way over. Evolution as a whole, be it Sumeric, Indian, and or from the Far East, has evolved with all the differences due to the moment, but somehow towards the same end, progress and culture. Unfortunately, 2,500 years of evolution, but in the end, we still have to deal with such brainless, useless, oxygen thief as Brian, the flathead. Make no mistake, yes, some sort of pre-Stone Age morons are still between us, and they'll probably will be here forever. But if it wasn't for the internet and the global age that's made their stupidity more notable for anyone to laugh at, they're just that, a bunch of useless village idiots whose only goal in their useless, meaningless life is giving anyone who's been gifted with more than a single brain cell a good laugh. All of this rant for saying that Brian is an idiot. Just like any idiot you will ever cross during your life. So just consider his idiocy as the proof that evolution, especially in this modern time and age, is showing its limit. But if nothing else, his stupidity will surely give anyone some more self-confidence. That was rough and tiny. What an idiot. So that's all he's got.
Well done. Yeah. What a what? Oh, nothing.
2,500 years of evolution. I mean, guys, come on. We can't be wrong. It can't just be that we're wrong about something. These guys are idiots, and we're evolving. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah, well, Nathan,
that's-
when he first came into it, he was all about consensus, right?
Projection, again, as always, complete projection. So he's concerned that this would mean he's devolving, he's becoming more stupid. The failure to have introspection has led him to the need to project this onto Brian.
Yeah, it was
Next
out of
time you
nowhere.
speak to him, Brian, tell him that he's won the Share Your Pain Award of the Year.
I didn't even reply to him. I don't know who he is. It's just out of nowhere. Just like normally I get a throw a comment out of nowhere from some comment or some account I don't know. No, that happens all the time. This is like someone put in.
It's a nothing burger. Where are you wrong? Tell us where he's wrong. Mark it down. And he said this over here, and he's wrong, as you can see, because this is what it really is. No, you get nothing like that. Just a load of insults. Nathan's right.
Oh, it was his concern. That's why I thought Nathan would like it. This guy is very concerned. Very, very. You know that be afraid, be very, very, very afraid. That's the power. That's where that guy is in now. You know
We
what I
saw
mean?
that.
He's under pressure.
Yeah, when he said that the Irish have contributed to Western society, I burst out laughing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Brian
Yeah.
doesn't. If they did, Brian doesn't represent that aspect of Ireland. So the guy's got a point in a way. No, he's not going to get. I'm not getting it right. Is that Brian? Okay, fair enough.
Nah, I know what I mean. But I actually had 40 minutes, so I couldn't do it. No, it was just I often got the same type of nonsense where you don't rep. I had ballers get stock accounts and put an Irish name on the account and start telling me that I don't represent Ireland and all this, as if right. My go-to place 10 years ago was to represent Ireland right, in flat out. It's like never even crossed my mind. It would never cross my mind. And even when they keep bringing it up, it doesn't cross my mind. So I don't know where to go with that, but they think that's some kind of something. But this guy put extra effort into it. Like he really put effort. And where did he go? He started off with, I'm not a representation of Ireland or Irish people. And he ended up at God knows where. He put all that point
poured his
into.
heart and soul.
Sorry, Tom.
Heart and soul, man. We put heart and soul in there, brother. I'm just backing you up. That heart and soul went into that. He was just
Yeah, but be ready
Right.
because you're gonna be getting a lot more of this stuff.
That's what pitch data does to you, mate.
Exactly one deck. They got nowhere else to go. It's amazing.
yeah. It's like there's some kind of a pitch flu going on with that.
You call it the pitch flu?
Now, what you got to
Yeah.
call it is, to them, you got to say, listen, life's a pitch. What are you going to do?
Life's a pitch.
Life's a pitch, then you fly.
For them, it is. You know what that video, the one the comment is on? It's me pointing out that they require the earth to be flat to correctly measure the height of Mount Everest.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I vaguely remember when that came
yeah.
out. Did you not contact me preemptively? I'm just giving you preemptive props, if that's what you call it. You said that they would trigger them in a message to me when you sent me the video to that link about your description of the concept using Everest. You said to me in the Skype comment, I'll go back and have a look and check for this for tomorrow. But you were like, this will trigger them or something like that.
Okay, because now it's not trigger. It is triggering them very bad, but because other flat earthers are not taking up the mantle, they're okay for the minute, right? It's like the pitch data, but if no other flat earthers is talking about it, it's okay. But when the other flat earthers do start talking about what I'm pointing out, they're in serious trouble, because it means that a process we use and have used for years and years, or God knows how long, which is the determination of an actual height to a terrestrial object, right, based off of a known distance, or an actual distance based off of a known height, being gained from an angular size measurement, right, can't work or exist within their paradigm. It can only happen if perspective exists and we live on a flat earth. It can't happen in any other way. And this is the problem. It's like what happened is that other guy who came out, remember he came out with that measurement of a mountain 50 miles away from his home, and he had a star above it, and he had this angle to the star from the top of the mountain that wasn't correct, and blah, blah, blah. But everyone raved about it. Well, we should have done what I did. I was going to do is bring out my video, and suddenly his video came out. But his video had issues with it that the ballers could attack. My video can't be attacked. I'm showing exactly what has to happen, what would happen for them, right? They don't even have angular size change, but it's showing exactly what would happen over that distance between the Kathmandu Valley and Mount Everest, and Mount Everest, sorry, on a globe with diverging zeniths. You know the thing Grove is claiming? You can't have angular sizes with diverging zeniths, certainly not at 100 miles away, and you can take an angular size of Mount Everest from a much further than 100 miles away. The point being is that this process that we use all the time and has been used for God knows how long, centuries maybe at this stage, maybe more, right? Maybe more, right? Can only happen if the Earth is flat. That's it. Because that horizontal baseline has to adhere to mean sea level. Mean sea level has to be horizontal plane for all this to work. And they're absolutely raging. But the other flat earthers don't know that. Other flat earthers aren't catching on to this yet. When they do catch on to it, the ballers are going to be held to task every day.
Yeah, when flat earthers start playing the game of where are you hiding your flat plane, you know, in your evidence, I can see the ballers running more often.
But what happened is that due to that video, Ruhif wanted to challenge me to an angular size measurement contest. Right? It's like, right, he sent me a diagram, right, trying to somehow make Mount Everest angular size measurement work on a globe. He had parallel zeniths in his diagram. The scale was all off, and he was trying to claim angular size at a distance for a globe. And I said, none of these things, you don't have parallel zeniths or angular sizes. Like, you can't partake in what you're looking for me to partake. You're looking for me to partake in some kind of a competition with you. I go up and get an angle for a mountain, and you get an angle, and blah, blah, blah. We determine whether the globe or flat earth elevation angle is going to be. It's like, you don't have any of that. So there is no, like, even your own diagram has said it has parallel zeniths, and you didn't even diverge the zeniths because you know it's over for you. Like, I didn't give them an angular size measurement. I just showed what would happen with diverging zeniths and a tangent plane being the straight line for a triangle. That would be the end of that. The whole thing falls apart because they're not going to get a correct angular size to something like Mount Everest. It'll never work. They don't have angular size, and because of the tangent and the angle it'll be at, they won't, like, there's just no way for it to ever work. Just can't work. They don't have what they need to have to make that process work. And Ruhif was absolutely raging. Absolutely raging.
Well, if he's presenting parallel zeniths to you, then he knows Earth's flat.
Yeah, exactly. And he was saying, I think his claim was something like the mountain, what Mount Everest or some other mountain in Ireland, but he was saying it should be 2.26, but for me it should be 2.28. It's like, no, it can't be anything for you. Anything it is only for me. It can't be anything for you. You don't have angular sizes. You don't have a horizontal baseline. You don't have parallel zeniths. You don't have. It's not possible for me to have the competition with you want me to have. Do you know what I mean? It's like someone who's 80 years of age and is sitting in a wheelchair wanting to have a sprinting competition with you, yet they can't stand up and go to the toilet. It's like, it's not possible. You can't do that.
Right. Well, their problem is they say the conceptual unit we're using in measurement is wrong, that it doesn't apply to reality. But then they're turning around and using that conceptual unit, applying it to reality, and just like whistling, like we're just supposed to let them. No. You know, that's not going to fly anymore.
That's our stuff.
Yeah, that's our stuff, exactly.
Yeah, don't use our stuff.
Zeniths. Yeah, parallel zeniths, horizontal distances, angular sizes. That's our stuff. Vertical angular sizes. Vertical, that's our stuff there. But when they need to make an argument, they need to use it.
Yeah, you can't get zenith from a zenith is not with respect to a curved surface. It's just not.
Yeah, you're going to need a flat Earth in the first instance to derive it from.
Well, I'd give them this, right? If you're standing on a globe and you were pre-assuming that what you're standing on is a tangent to the globe, and all plumb bobs are pointing towards the center of that globe, right? Due to a force of gravity, if I was pre-assuming all of that, then I could create a 90 with a pre-assumed mathematical tangent, but I can't use it for anything. I don't have an angular size. That doesn't exist in my paradigm. Angular sizes don't exist. And my tangent is not going to allow me to get a correct angular size because I don't have angular size. And the angle of the tangent in relation to the object at a distance, whether it be a tower, a mountain, whatever, I won't be able to get it correct anything. It just doesn't work. I can't do it. I can't do the process. The process just doesn't work.
Well,
It's like when we come. Sorry, John. Go on. Come on a second. Go on.
No, it just you said that about the force of gravity. That incorrect notion that there's a force pulling everything down, right, is only applicable to an inertial plane. Them saying that all these point to the center of Earth, it's nonsensical. It's only applicable to an inertial plane. So what are you talking about, center of Earth? That doesn't make sense. A plane has no center of a spherical center. There's no spherical center to a plane. What? It's insane.
You see, what I did in my video was I gave them as much as I could actually give them, right? If hypothetically we stood on a globe and all thumb bobs pointed towards the center of that globe, and I'm standing on a pre-assumed mathematical tangent plane, then yeah, you can get a 90. But it doesn't do anything for you. It won't help you in this instance or any other instance similar. You know, it ruins them. So I don't know if you watched the video, Nathan, but it just ruins them. There is no comeback. There's no way out of it. So you can look through the comments, and there's nobody actually able to rebut it. The only person that tried was Ruiz, and he needed our stuff to do it. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about the Everest video this guy's made a comment on?
Yeah. Because it's not about Mount Everest. I just use that as because it's such a known landmark, right? And it's so big, right? It can be used for any mountain at a distance or any building at a distance, right? That you're using, that you're going to try and determine something with via its angular size from your elevation. You know, because it brought in the elevation of Kathmandu Valley, everything into it. So what you're going to do, you have to subtract the elevation of Kathmandu Valley from the elevation, the known elevation of Mount Everest, and then take an angular size from that point, and the angular size you get has to match the remaining amount of Mount Everest. It has to, right? That's how these things work. And both the elevations for Kathmandu Valley and for Mount Everest must be from the same horizontal plane, right, for that to work. And angular size with distance, with perspective needs to exist. You know, so all these things can only happen if the Earth is flat. It's the only way it can happen. And we use these processes all the time, just like with pitch data, or sorry, just like with flight data. All that flight data, how planes fly, not even, I should be saying flights themselves, how planes flying. That can only happen if the Earth is flat stationary. The way it happens and what they do and how they have to do what they have to do can only work if the Earth is flat.
Right. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
How much they're willing to listen.
You're breaking up there, John.
You're breaking up, John.
I was just telling John that you're a waste of time.
I was just telling him, don't praise him for being Irish. I mean, you shouldn't have picked that comment. It kind of, you know, actually looked bad on you, Brian.
Yeah, I feel really bad about it. But anyway, you were a complete waste of time because I'll have to spend the next 3 years trying to tell you about this argument.
I'll get lost. I take a little bit of I fall a tiny bit on my sword, and suddenly I'm a dum-dum that won't get things for 3 years.
You cut in the end of the show, and I was just at the crescendo when you cut it off. You're not paying attention. You said it.
I can't have guessed when you say you need a flat Earth for that. You need a flat Earth for that. You need a flat Earth for that. It's going to require a flat Earth. I'm like, he said it. He said it again. He said it again twice. Now it's time to round out. What was wrong with that?
You can listen back to it.
What was the crescendo beyond what you'd said? Come on.
It doesn't matter now.
Yeah, you're saying it. You're just saying that.
It doesn't matter because the show's over. The point being is you're not paying attention to the arguments. And that showed in the fact that you cut off the crescendo because you're just waiting to press over on the show. You weren't paying attention. Just like you didn't pay attention to Floyd for years. It was ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What did you say?
I was saying that you're not a good representation of English people or England. I mean, I don't think anyone should make that mistake.
2,500 years of evolution, Nathan. 2,500 years of evolution. And you can't even listen to this Irishman finish his argument.
What a crock of crap.
Tell me what I said then. Tell me why it can't work for them.
Because Earth's flat.
It's only 2 minutes ago. No, that's not good enough.
That's perfectly good enough.
Answer.
You just don't want to accept that that's good enough. You want to beg the question for them. Let's flip this on its head.
I'm not begging any question.
Yeah,
there's no begging of the question in my. There's no. I have to make. It's a process of elimination. That's not begging the question.
Random response that puts you on the back foot.
So you can't detail it then.
What?
No, can I give you a hint?
You omnivore.
Morning, guys.
Hello, Chocolate.
Hey, Chocolate. Sorry, John, I stepped over.
We're just trying to make each other seem inferior and incompetent, Chocolate. It's a white man thing.
Say again?
We're just demeaning each other and don't worry about it.
That's not a white man thing, it's a man thing.
Okay, fair enough.
That's
So
what
we
Chocolate
take the angular side of Mount Everest, right? Then what are we going to do?
Well, you can't do that on a globe. It doesn't have an angular side.
Seems as if your point was almost tied to that fact.
Well, it is tied to that fact. But the whole process you'd have to go through to even get to that point can't happen. Because, as in, to even get to that point, the problem they have is even if perspective did exist on the globe, which it doesn't, the point being is that this process could never work. The process of angular size measurement at a distance could never work, especially over big distances with large objects, because the angle, because of their diverging zeniths, make it impossible. So when these people are giving out about saying, reciprocal zenith angles, that's complete another horse manure that they try and throw out there from people like Jesse Kozlowski, just bring them to something that someone like Jesse Kozlowski would have to do, and how they need parallel zeniths. So to make this real world measurement happen, so they don't just need parallel zeniths, that means they also need horizontal plane of reference, and they also need mean sea level to be parallel to that horizontal plane of reference. And then they need angular size change to exist. So they need three things. So, and the third one is the angular size change. So you don't even get to that, because the first thing they need is parallel zeniths. It's over.
But what if they grant us the flat plane before they make
But that won't make any difference to their problem.
You don't think
Their
it
problem
matters
here.
if they?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you don't think it matters that they would give us the flat plane? You know, they just give that to us.
Well, what I'm saying is for them.
That's nice of them. And then tell us that flat plane is a sphere. Oh, isn't that cute?
They only give it to us so they can then use it. It's like here, I bought you this hairdryer so I can dry my hair. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's like they need to use that flat plane that they're going to give to us. But
Brian, you see this lawnmower in your garage? It's not actually your lawnmower. It's my lawnmower. I'm going to use it.
Are you
When I'm
pretending?
done,
You pretending that grass even exists, Brian? There's no such thing as grass, Brian. There is no lawn mower, Brian. Are you an idiot? Thinks that lawn mowers and grass exist?
That's basically cutting the grass.
Yeah, with your lawnmower.
They don't exist. Yeah, well, I have to tell you when they don't exist. But that's what the beauty is of this argument. And I just can't wait for people to catch on to it. Like, I tried to tell QE about it, and it just wasted me time. But I have to go through Adam. Adam is the only person. Was it all refracted, but not. So either Adam or refracted. Once they go through Adam or refracted, the point gets across. If I want to get the point across to you, Nathan, I need to go through refracted. If I want to get the point across to QE, I have to go
here
through
we
Adam.
bloody go again. What the hell?
Well, QE doesn't listen to me and
The
you
Nathan
don't listen to me.
Whisperer.
Yeah, so
Brian,
I need to
telling you,
go
I'm
through the
the
person
Nathan
you will listen to. Yeah, exactly. John is the Nathan Whisperer, and Adam is the QE Whisperer. Do you know what I mean?
the Nathan Whisperer. That was good, Brian.
Let me ask you, Nathan, how are you going to get an angular size of something at a distance with diverging zeniths?
How am I going to get the angular size of something at a distance with diverging zeniths? What kind of clusterfuck of a malformed question is that?
Well, there you go. You can't, can you?
No.
Yeah. So,
Can you imagine a new colour?
What?
A new colour. Imagine. That's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, imagining up a new colour. Yeah, that's good.
Any new color would represent as purple within your eyesight anyway.
If I said that, Nathan wouldn't listen.
It was only hilarious because John said it. What was that, Brian? Sorry? I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
You're not that interesting to listen to, Brian.
Yeah, I'm not. You're not interesting right now, Brian. That's what I got yesterday.
That is literally what I said to him. I can't really deny that, can I?
I was waiting for you to join QEs last night because I was looking to do that for you, and you never joined. It was a non-subtle dismissal, complete dismissal.
Yeah, I think it might be because you're Irish. There's some inherent racism within the English people.
What it was is like a pat on the head and being told, shh. That's what it was like. It's like
Not with the Northern Irish, but the Irish, they left us, so we've got to remind them of that.
Sometimes I bring up the Troubles and pretend that Brian's Northern Irish, like give him the intentional ignorance, like they're all the same. Because that to me is even more racist.
We are the same. Well, except for the Lions, they're obviously a bit different, but the other people are Irish.
The other ones, what, the Northern Irish?
Yeah, well, there's certain sector of Northern Ireland that aren't Irish. They say they're not Irish, that they're, so.
British.
It'd be hypocritical for me to call them Irish, wouldn't it? Where it'd be like calling someone who's Irish in England English.
I would say they're on Ireland, so I mean, I don't. It seems silly.
Yeah, but if I'm on England, that doesn't make me English or Welsh or anything else. So.
Oh well, if you're saying there's English in Ireland, well, that's different, isn't it? Let's not. We don't want any troubles. Let's not carry on this conversation.
I'm just pointing out. I don't want to be a hypocrite about it.
Nah, fair enough.
I really want to drive the racism thing between Irish and English, like maybe even start a war if I can. That's what I was hoping for.
That's already happened.
Yeah, I was going to say you're too late. Too late for that.
I just want to pay attention to the. Go on.
30 years too late, isn't it? Because the Irish don't care about being invaded now. As long as it's not the English, doesn't matter.
I was going to say, we can make jokes about it now. It's been 30 years and they don't care anymore.
They're giving up wanting their own sovereignty by the looks of it. They're quite happy to be European and have a religious and demographic change applied. I don't
can't
know
argue
why
that.
they're not blowing up gas tanks in Afghanistan as a point of protest. They used to do that here in the 80s.
Yeah, but we're lazy. It's a lot easier to get to England. It's only like
It's just
13 miles.
laziness.
Yeah.
Ryanair doesn't fly there.
Even if they did, it wouldn't. Even if they did, it wouldn't be there, would it? It'd be somewhere else. If you've ever flown Ryanair, you'd get that joke. If you haven't, you just don't know.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah. And if you did go there, your luggage wouldn't. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's like you flying to Berlin. Oh, Berlin, 60 quid. That's fantastic value. I'll go to Berlin, get off the plane. Where's Berlin? About 200 kilometres that way. What? Where the hell am I? Well, you're in Little Berlin. Or wherever you're trying to fly that isn't actually the place. But they managed to call it the area that it isn't quite in. The airport that isn't in that area. But on the, big ticket board when you buy the ticket at the airport, it looks like you're going to the place you want to go. It's just a $300 taxi ride away from that airport.
Yeah, it's just a 4-hour bus journey.
Exactly. You got it.
Oh, we're well wiped to Ryanair. We know what they are.
I like that.
I thought, go on.
There's no such thing as a feckin' ticket for 50p. It's that those singers that are saying that they know the score about these scamming Ryanair tickets that are claimed to be 50p in the paper.
Yeah.
No such thing.
But listen, we know the mentality, you see, behind what's his name that owns it, Michael O'Leary. We know we know his mentality. Like you're not getting what you think you're getting. But
The last time I saw him, right, do you know what he was discussing the last time I saw him? This was a couple of years ago. He was talking about having stand-up fares. Do you know what I mean by stand-up? On the plane, re-engineering it so you stood, so you can cram more people in. And charging for toilets, but that was a bit more ago. That was probably 3 or 4 years ago that he was considering charging for toilets.
Yeah, he's trying to create basically a bus service in the air throughout Europe. That's what he's been trying to do. It's just that they keep getting in his way, basically.
It already was.
Yeah, he's even look. There's not he wants to do. Like if you're going to fly Ryanair, right? If you're going to fly Ryanair, you have no business complaining afterwards. Now there'll be plenty of things to complain about, but you've no business complaining because you decided to fly Ryanair. You made your decision. Or some subsidiary of Ryanair. So check, all these other ones that are like Ryanair but smaller. You find out they're owned by Ryanair. I think he's the biggest airline in the world, believe it or not. As far as I know, as in the most. So somehow it makes it the biggest. Like I don't know how they worked it out, but it's supposedly the biggest. Now that could also be a lot of
That's a load of rubbish. I mean, you could. There'll be some spin doctory behind that, no doubt.
See, Michael O'Leary comes from Ireland. Ireland's a little tiny island with a small population. So everything you do, you must personify into being really big and brilliant. You know what I mean? If you're coming from a small place with a small population, everything that you present to the world has to be presented in such a way as if it's really, really big. A big deal. It's like
the globe.
Yeah. Listen, I tell you, if it was cheaper for if Michael O'Leary could save money by flying people over, by somehow going along with the narrative that the Earth is flat, then I have no doubt he'd be promoting that. He doesn't care. He's like, he does not care what he has. Like, all those things mean nothing to him. All that matters is that he gets success financially.
Indeed. I don't know how we got on Ryanair, but there we go.
You brought it up, or Adam brought it up, I think.
Either way. Are we doing the book today? Is QE dead? Did he get blown out or what? Anybody know?
I'm going to struggle tonight. I might be back early afternoon tomorrow. But I had to miss QE Live last night, and I've got loads to do tonight again. So tomorrow probably for me.
Fair enough. Did that desk come up yet?
Have you been in contact with?
Hold on. One more thing. Did that pawnbroker desk SSL2 come yet?
No, only the one from Amazon.
You sent that back?
Well, I'm going to keep it and give it my lad, because when I asked him for one, he didn't have one. So I said I'll just keep that one anyway and let him have it.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully it should be there tomorrow, if not today. I thought it'd be there today.
Okay. It may well be, mate, but I'm at work till 6 again, so...
fair enough. It's not a high priority. When you get a chance to plug it in, I'll talk you through downloading drivers and such, but obviously you've got a lot on at the moment.
Cool. That'd be bro. Thank you.
No problem. That might be a short show today, then. We'll cover that dude that Liam shared earlier. We'll cover him tomorrow. Unless there's something pressing, we might round out this show relatively early today.
Do you want to talk about diverging zeniths, or?
Do you want to talk about the ABBA mic? I haven't mentioned that very much.
I just wanted to say, Q was quite disappointed that you wasn't there last night, so you might have to go to him cap in hand when you next see him.
Capping in hand, nothing.
Yeah,
I was glad because it was the end of the Wolfie. I didn't even get a chance to listen, so I might have a listen this evening then. There's a second, but yeah, did we finish Wolfie off then last night?
Yeah, and we started on a general video. I don't know if we'll continue on with that, but we finished off the Will Duffy and Wolfie video. You were missed.
No, I missed being there, mate.
I guess you was in the pub watching Forest, but I guess you was working then.
Bit of both. Forest was on. That's why I wasn't listening to QE Live. It was what I wasn't going to listen to. So, sadly, what was the background noise? Was the Forest game, I'm afraid.
So doing very well, Alan.
Keep your fingers crossed, pal. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, I reckon them and Newcastle in the next few years are going to be like another Chelsea and Liverpool kind of thing. I reckon that, because there were two teams that were doing very well years ago. Newcastle more so in the 90s, maybe, or early 2000s, but both those teams years ago were really renowned teams, you know. Just things went against them. And now I think they're on the way up. I don't think it's like a Leicester situation, because Leicester kind of came out of nowhere and won, and then kind of receded back. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of back in, was it 2018 or something? Whereas with Nottingham Forest and with Newcastle, it's like they were already up at the top at one point, kind of thing, and held it for.
Yeah, there's a number of teams that I missed that I wish were back up there. Like who some are on the way up, like Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Charlton, even Warsaw. I think were in Division 1 in the 90s.
I hate Warsaw. They always beat us. When we were crap playing in Division 1, Warsaw had always beat us home and away. But yeah, fingers crossed, bro, we get somewhere. I'm just looking forward to a few trips to Europe via Ryanair. I just looked that one up. If Forest were playing AC Milan, I could probably fly to... See, there's another one they do. They fly you to Bergamo. And it's like next door to Milan. It's not. 60 kilometres away. It's like claiming you're flying to Stansted and you're going to Heathrow, isn't it? It's the same.
You're still in London.
It's London, I suppose, yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. North Italy, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a few trips away next year. Even if I don't get tickets for the game, I want to go and sit in some of the bars in the cities and have a tour.
Yeah, it's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of money coming into your city. If this continues into that club.
Fingers crossed. Not there yet. I'm not counting my chickens. Not singing the Champions League tune yet.
Who's your favourite team, Nathan?
Who's my favourite team?
No, you don't have one.
I mean, I do and I don't. I mean, when I was a kid and I'd changed schools for the third time, the kids I went to school with supported Aston Villa. So for that reason, I used to go to the Aston Villa games. But my father was a Birmingham City fan. Now, those two have a local rivalry. So that was always kind of awkward. I'd be at a Villa game and they'd be like, "This guy's a Blues fan," to all of the crowd of people at the Villa game. And you'd be like, "My dad's a Blues fan." Now, you're not going to mutter that to a load of Aston Villa fans. And I didn't care either way. I was just there with my mates because I wanted to be with my mates as opposed to at a football game. Anyway, I've hooked up the ABBA microphone. This is what the ABBA microphone sounds like. What do you reckon?
Talk about diverging zeniths and we'll see what it sounds like.
So this is what I sound like on an AKG 301 BT ABBA microphone. Cool, huh? See, you're very concerned about how I sound through the ABBA microphone. Now that I've heard what it sounds like, I haven't, because I haven't listened to this back yet, but at least I get to hear what it sounds like on a live stream, because this is something that will become a working tool. So in a way, I should be more interested in what this sounded like rather than the Beatles mic. But there we go. Anyway, I've dedicated
Sing a bit of Fernando, and we'll give you a score out of 10.
How does it go? There was something in the air tonight. Is that the one?
That's the one.
I know the words. I'm really sorry. Anyway, this is what the ABBA mic
Change it to
sounds like.
Brian.
It's a hypercardioid. It's got a second diaphragm, as I do a wanking symbol on camera. I'm going to transition. Not from male to female.
That's Planet Walk.
Wow.
Hey, yeah, remember all the cooks were coming out supporting the most, whatever the current narrative was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Slow idiots.
That was like one of the cringiest things that I ever saw. I remember a bunch of them coming out with that video saying, "Oh, we support Planet Walk and whatever he wants to do." Oh, really? That's cute, guys. If Planet Walk was a flat earther, do you think he'd get that same support if Planet Walk was a flat earther? Who decided, I just want to grow my hair long, put some nails on, and call myself a female?
But what's funny is the amount of support. Like I support the current thing. That's all they were doing, isn't it? I support the current thing. I support when, like, you know that deep down, they don't. They're just trying to pretend that they're all inclusive.
Because they know most flat earthers aren't going to support the current thing. That ipso facto makes it mean that they must.
Yeah.
Because we're always wrong, no matter what we say. Say grass exists. No, flat earther. There's no grass. It's really ridiculous.
Oh,
That grass is like
just need to check my gains at the right level. Just 1 second. Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2
Sounds
1 2.
good.
Check. That's right. And I just need to turn the gain down sometimes. That's fine. Sorry to interrupt.
Turn it down a bit more.
Cheeky sod. I think that's all right. I've maybe could do with a little bit more gain, if anything.
A little less treble.
A little bit more gain, as in volume, although it isn't. Anyway, Does it sound nice on the ABBA mic? Sound the same, I would imagine. I would hope it sounded very similar.
Well, no, what I say about the other mic is you need a little less treble and a little bit more bass.
What a load of nonsense.
No, I'm telling you. You were a bit full on.
On the ABBA mic?
Yeah.
I'll listen to it.
Turn up the bass to the point. Turn up the bass to the point where you sound like me.
Yeah.
I'll make my assessment when I play it back. I had made a quick recording of it just to check it worked, but that will be nice because it'll be going through all my compressors and stuff. And I can't be asked to set up my show just to try a mic, but as it's literally recording, everything's out, everything's on. I can be on camera wiring it up and then go check 1 2 3, and then hear how it sounds through all the compressors, because it might be a really nice sounding mic. You never know. I'm going to keep it. I'm definitely keeping the ABBA mic.
Just don't use it.
Well, I want to use it on my daughter. I want to use it on Clover. She's always holding hairdryers. It's like, well, if I can buy a mic for next to nothing because I'm good at haggling, and it's a really lovely mic, and it's got a little bit of nostalgia attached to it, so I can bore her with stories of ABBA. But ultimately, it's just a nice microphone. That's what I wanted it for. So I'm not going to flog this one. I think I'll keep this one.
But when you use it, it is compulsory to wear a halo made of flowers, like a floral dress.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I want to keep this one, for exactly what you've just said. For those sorts of notions being talked about when Clover's clinging the thing and yelling down it.
I don't want to fall into the trap of this, but you got me, Nathan. Because now I have a question. What is it you're buying mics and then flipping them, looking for the perfect one for yourself? Is that
Yes.
what
So
this mic mission is?
My mic mission was to buy a Neumann, and I achieved that considerably earlier than I'd anticipated. So, when people do that thing on video where they're like, if I start with this paperclip, can I end up buying a Tesla? Because I'll trade the paperclip for a pad, and I'll trade the pad for a fountain pen that's worth a tenner, and I'll trade the £10 fountain pen that's worth a tenner for a fax machine that's worth £100, and then I'll trade the fax machine for... That's what I've done. Just begged, borrowed, flipped, stole, whatever you want to call it, to get a Neumann, so I had a better microphone. Well, while I was in the process of doing that, like I say, I achieved getting the actual very specific mic I wanted for a good price also, which shouldn't be unheard of. I'm only trying to buy stuff at a cheap price, so if they didn't say yes, I wouldn't have bought it. But by the same token, I achieved my ends quicker. But now I've got all of sort of the feelers that I put out over 2 months coming back to me. The things that I've kept an eye on for whether or not they'll descend in price are now coming to fruition. So I'm rounding out all these things that I've put the feelers out for to buy cheap. Now, one of them was the Beatles mic. One of them was the ABBA mic. There's another one that I literally bought today. I ended up buying it after watching it for about a month. It pissed me off, actually. This mic I watched drop from 80 quid to 50 quid to 40 quid to 30 quid. And then I phoned the pawnbroker and went, can I buy this mic even cheaper? It's on for 30 quid. And she was like, what will you offer? I went, I don't know, 20 quid? And she went, done. She's like, buy it on the website. So I bought it. And then I phone her back. I'm like, have you got my order? Are you going to ship it out today? She's like, yeah, I'm delighted you bought it. She says, I'll be honest, if you'd have said tenner, I'd have said yes. I'm like, that annoys me greatly.
Why the hell would she say that?
Well, I tell you why. Because at the point that I'm haggling with it, because it's been in her shop for 6 months, which she also told me, is the point where she just wants to see the back of it as a pawnbroker. She doesn't want it stuck in the shop. She's selling it cheap so it can churn quickly. And they're only selling stuff typically a little bit cheaper than it would be sold for on eBay, right? So that's the original price, 80 quid. So when she's reduced it down to what she's paid for it, which is 30 quid, she just wants to turn it back into cash. Now, another 2, 3, 4 months goes by, and you then have the mentality of a pawnbroker, which is, if I was to walk into a different pawnbroker with this, I'd take 1/3 of its value. So given that she's paid 30 quid for it, and it's still on the shelf at 30 quid, which is what she paid, she would, to justify the getting rid of it cheap, be happy getting rid of it for a tenner at that point. because that's your pawnbroker mentality. You're trying to buy things for 1/3 of their retail value. And if that happens to be secondhand, it's 1/3 of its secondhand retail value. So coincidentally, that's what it was up for because it's been in her shop forever and I've watched it drop in price. But when it reached the point where it was, I could have just bought it straight off the website without phoning her. But I'm like, if I can get it even cheaper, I will. And I did. But then she told me I could have had it even cheaper still. And in my mind, I'm thinking, no, you're just justifying the cope. Because if you'd wanted 10 quid for it, you'd put it for that on the website. She didn't. She put it up for 30. And then I got it for 20. I think it's worth 50 to 80. But like I say, all of those things are only coming to fruition because I've kept an eye on them for a couple of months. Because people think you buy stuff cheap just because you just happen to ask that person for it cheap. No, I watched it for a long time not sell. And then when it had been, on the market for ages, I put a little feeler out to see if they'd sell it really cheap and then ignored them for a month. And then went back to them and went, I'm kind of vaguely interested if you'll sell it me dirt cheap. Had any interest, I already know the answer, don't I? So I can hopefully wrangle stuff, but I've been lining those things up for, like I say, a couple of months. But once they're all done, I don't think I've got anything else in the pipeline, as salespeople would put it, right? Stuff that's coming to fruition. I think I've bought everything I'm going to buy, and therefore everything that's going to be up for sale is going on imminently, and that'll be it then. I won't be buying anything else. I thought I'd still be having to flog these items to get my Neumann, but I've already got it. So this is kind of a bonus, and I'm quite chuffed about it. I'm buying stuff that I've hoped would turn into the goods that would make me money. They are seeming to be those goods, and I don't have any requirement to sell them. I don't need to flog them. I knew I'd be spending money at some stage. So, if I can wipe all of it out with the couple of items that I've still got left to sell, I'll be elated. Is that what you asked? Probably not.
Basically, yeah. Pretty much answered my question because that's basically what you said, right? You're flipping. Because I'm gonna be honest, when you start doing the mic thing, that's when I, as a flat, I just got the fluoride stare, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Today was the first day I actually listened to what you're talking about with this mic thing.
Wait, but if it was Eminem's mic or if it was Ice Cube's mic, it would be a different story. But because it's the Beatles mic, it's not interesting? Is that what I'm hearing, Chuck?
No. Took a little racist there, but hey.
Wait a second. What, you're black?
Don't tell anybody, Neil. It's a secret.
Sorry, Eli, I didn't mean that.
Nah. All right there, Joe Pesci.
Am I here to amuse you?
What am I, funny? What am I, clown?
The best thing about that scene was none of it was in the script. But he left it in and it turns out to be the most memorable part of the movie. Right? Talk to somebody about Goodfellas. What do they say? What am I, clown?
Yep. It's one of those parts, man.
Yeah, like Denzel Washington in American Gangster when he smacks the coffee off the freaking desk when he's talking to the cop. I don't know if you remember that scene. Classic scene.
I don't even remember that. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that movie in so long. I don't remember hardly any of it, to be honest with you.
What should I start the auction on this mic at? I'm thinking £399.
What you got to say is there's still Paul McCartney's DNA on it.
There isn't.
From him singing.
There definitely isn't, because the one that they were using was actually badged AKG. It's not just AKG from Telefunken or AKG from Philips. It was an actual AKG that they were using. This is the same mic. It just wasn't badged AKG. Or in reality, the Beatles ones weren't badged anything. Whereas this one's got a beautiful Telefunken badge on it. Anyway, that doesn't answer my question. What should I sell it for? What should I start the auction at?
Oh, hi.
What, 699?
I said go high.
Well, can it go down from 400 if you put it up at 400 on the auction? Nathan, I don't know. I don't use auctions.
You up, Neil?
Let's say you
Brian?
put it up for 400. If you put it up for 400, can it go down from that price in the auction?
No, it can only go up if somebody bids on it, but that means that that's the minimum it would go for if someone bid on it at all.
Right. So put it up for 450 then.
Start the auction at 450.
Yeah, that's just fair. That's fair. You're going to get your money back and that little extra $50 for your efforts. It'll either be that or it'll be 500 or something. You know what I mean? Because what happens if it goes up by $50 and the same person would have paid that $50 extra if it was 450?
I don't know. I think I've got the answer to my question though. So I found another one that was badged differently again. Norelco. So there's one that's in Japan. Norelco. Again, like Philips or Telefunken, it's just someone else who badged that brand, that microphone. It doesn't even look like they wrote their name on it. It just looks like the AKG to me. But anyway, there's, like I say, lots of different ones of them. Right, I will stick it on for £450 at auction. Is that where we're going to round out? Looks like it.
You're making sure that we end up talking about mics. So we're limited in what we can talk about then because it's your subject.
Well, we'll be talking about some guy reacting to flat earth comments tomorrow, so there will be a more flat earthy related show. I'm just so delighted that my little punts have come off and I can actually stick things of value on eBay and not have to e-beg. This is about the time of year I'd normally be e-begging though, isn't it? And I don't have to, because of microphones. That's good, isn't it? That I'm not having to e-beg.
That's progress.
Yeah, that's definitely progress. And I would hope that the book serves the same purpose, right? It puts me in a position where I don't have to e-beg.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Very much so. Anyway, I'm going to round out. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.